welcome to Mo Futbol TV. And today we're diving into the college planning, how to navigate the process with finance education, balance academy, and academics and athletics. And today we're being joined with Siggi Nagele, President and CEO of Nagele College Planning. How are you doing, Siggi?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome. So this is, I think, the very first one where we're mixing education and soccer, mostly. Could you tell us a little bit about your college planning, and are you doing just soccer or it's just sports in general?
Yeah, the majority of my majority of my clients are athletes. I do some that are strictly academic, but we do any sport. My specialty is soccer because that's what I've spent the majority of my life playing, coaching, and teaching.
Cool.
So my journey started in 1980 when I was a senior in high school. Had no clue what I was doing. Wanted to continue playing college soccer. I was in Germany at an American high school for military dependents. No guidance, no nothing. Fast forward 44 years. I've published a book. I've had this company for 23 years. And had several coaching jobs at the collegiate level, high school and club level, and have also gone to school for a certified college advisor with advanced credentials, education. So I feel I bring a lot to the table, and I base all my advice, all my guidance on statistics, personal experiences, and facts. So there's no gray areas. It's exactly what it is.
Excellent. So you say military. So which country were you?
I was born and raised in Germany, and then my mother married an American. So we traveled every 3 years, and my final stop was in Rhein-Main Air Force Base in Germany. And then from there, I went to college in West Virginia at a small college, and been in the United States ever since.
Excellent. So pretty much soccer or football is part of your DNA, pretty much.
It is. In Germany, you can't help. It's the only sport everybody wants to talk about and watch on TV. And, I think I brought some of that enthusiasm to my collegiate teammates and my clients now, coming from a soccer-crazed country.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and I guess now one here that's hungry for it.
Yes.
Yes. So could you tell us, I guess, a little bit more about, why starting the college planning? Was it based on a past experience that kind of led you to that? How did that come about in the first place?
Yeah, great question. Again, goes back to my senior year in high school. Again, I was just so frustrated because I didn't know what to look for, how to find a good fit for my college search. And actually an art teacher of mine at my high school said, well, there's this small school in West Virginia that has a phenomenal soccer program. I have a house there, And I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, what does she know what I'm looking for? And sure enough, it turns out I never got to see my college until I actually stepped foot on it. The college coach never saw me play. So it's the communication back and forth, the establishing of the level that I was at soccer-wise, and the recommendation by this teacher that kind of got me thinking there has to be a better way. So once I got situated in the States and got done with college and stuff, I started my company. And, I'm all about education. So the coach and the teacher in me just wants to let people sometimes make their own decisions, but at least have the right facts on hand so they can make intelligent decisions and reap the benefits of that decision.
Yes. And also seeing that, I guess in those discussions on when it comes to college and where to go, that sometimes there's schools that you are not aware of that have programs for any sports or have
Right.
the academic at the same time. And I guess you only hear the big schools. So it definitely kind of help, I guess, not only for the athletes, but also the schools that have those opportunities that not everyone know about.
Yeah, I would have never looked at this school that I ended up going to my undergraduate if it wasn't for this art teacher making that recommendation. Because I had the same ambitions. It's D1 or bust, and so I looked at Penn State and Maryland, all of the schools that you see on TV, with sports 24/7, having no idea that if I would have gone to one of those big schools, I probably would have not graduated from college because I was too social, had like to have too much fun, being at a smaller school where more structure and smaller classrooms, which I was used to from my small high school, was the perfect fit. So I owe a lot of people a lot of gratitude that helped me kind of along the way. And that's, I think, inspired me to start my company and do the same for others.
Yeah. So throughout those 33 years, could you maybe provide details on maybe one or two, I guess, the mistake that some family do when picking a school? Is it education, sports? One thing that kind of jump out when it comes to family decisions.
Yeah, I think a lot of families, they either just approach you from the academic side only or the athletic side only. They don't do the total research as far as the school. They need to involve the young man or young woman that they're talking about, because there's a statistic that says 36% of all freshmen either transfer or consider transferring, not just athletes, but just students in general at the college level. So for me, that tells me that there's a disconnect where people are not researching enough the institution that they're thinking about going to play for, thinking about attending. And kind of on a side note, one of my favorite and one of my first clients was a former player of mine, that she was the first one from her family to graduate from college. So that was a major milestone. Father was non-existent in her life. She had no guidance. I paid for most of her travel, her fees. I got to see her graduate from Georgia State in Atlanta, see her get her diploma. Got to be at her wedding in Vegas, which wasn't hard to convince me to go. And then I got to meet her firstborn, and today she's a fireman and EMT, and I'm so proud of her. And never charged her a dime, never wanted anything except I pay it forward, and she has through her career and just being an awesome person. But getting back to your original question, I think the thing that needs to do is people need to start early and really do their due diligence in terms of the entire experience that they want their son or daughter to have. So we can get more into details later if you want.
Yep. Yeah, and it looks like your first client, you first help her make those decisions, and now she's helping other people her way. So yeah, definitely.
And what a great example of, again, parents were not in the picture, so pretty much had to guide herself. And my marching orders as a senior in high school, my dad was in the service, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So my senior year, when I told them I wanted to go to college, they said, well, we love you, son, but we have no funds available for you. If you're going to do this, it's going to have to be on your own, and you're going to have to find the right school. So thank God I was an above average soccer player and a great student. So between that, I got a full ride between my academics and my soccer ability. So I'm grateful for that opportunity that coach gave me in West Virginia.
Excellent. So could you tell maybe student athletes maybe one or two things they should focus on when looking at schools?
Yeah, I use a platform called Productive Recruit, and it has every school in the country that offers whatever sport someone is trying to pursue. And then it has filters that you can filter all the schools by, whether it's geography, location and distance to your home, majors, academic requirements, finances. There's probably like 8 or 10 different filters, and that gives you a pretty specific list, because most people don't know where to start. They're like, hey, I want to play soccer. I'm willing to go anywhere, or I want to stay in Florida. I want to stay in Missouri. So, you got to help them get focused a little bit. And that's a big part of my business is, your roadmap might be different than my roadmap. So each person has to have their own individual, and every one of my clients meets with me only. And so they get that advice directly from the king.
Yeah, and definitely. And now there's a lot of information out there. So if you go through it, it's a long road, I guess, a deep wealth of detail. So it definitely helps having someone knowledgeable. Well, 33 years is not knowledgeable. It's like, I don't know if there's many people that can say 33 years of helping kids.
Yeah, and number-wise, I think it's close to 1,000 players that I've put into college, some with sports, some without. I couldn't even add up the scholarship money that these guys have earned, either academically or athletically or combined. But again, for me, it's all about facts. It's all about professional guidance. And unfortunately, like you said, there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's just a lot of white noise. Some of it's actually very useful. a lot of this is public knowledge. You got to know where to find it, how to interpret it. And I think it helps to have an accountability partner or somebody to bounce these things off of. And there's some great people that do what I do around the country. So,
yes, definitely. Was there maybe one thing for students are undecided on what to do next? So maybe some have wanted to do college and some others, or I guess, how would you kind of guide them to that process?
yeah, they have to understand that the prospect of playing professionally, is such a small percentage that they need to choose their college first and foremost on the experience that they want to have, the education that they want to receive, so they have something to fall back on. Because the professional track may or may not happen. It's much better probably than when you and I went to high school going into college. So there's many more opportunities overseas, many more opportunities here in this country to play a professional level. So I think my biggest advice would then be to make sure that they take the long picture and the long view of what they want to accomplish and have a degree from a school that's going to open some doors for them and something they can fall back on if the soccer part doesn't work out.
Oh, yes. It's, I guess, more opportunities, but still probably harder now these days because
Yes.
Usually it's one region of the world that you could say, if I stay there, they might find me. Now you have the whole world open to.
Yes, and it works both ways, Musa. As it's a little scary what some of these college rosters look like from South America, Africa, Europe. There's a huge influx of quality players that the American high school player has to compete with. Then you have the transfer portal, which is now easier than ever to go from one college to another. So there's hundreds of thousands of players at every sport that are looking to improve their situation.
Yes, that transfer I've seen it and heard about it. Is interesting, I'll call it. Do you also work on that section when it comes to student athletes wanted to change schools? Is that also part of your business? Or
yes, whether it's a junior college player that has gone 2 years to junior college and now needs to transfer because that's only 2 years worth of school that his institution offers. But then we also help those that for some reason, maybe the coach left, coach got fired, they're not playing, whatever the reason is that they look to transfer. We assist them in making sure they understand the pros and cons, because there's some drawbacks of going into the portal. What if I don't get picked up? There's a good chance that opportunity that you just left is no longer available, especially with some of the new rule changes with roster sizes and scholarship limits coming up. That make sure that if you open that door that you're looking to transfer, that be prepared to walk through it and move on.
Yes. So other than that, regarding your college planning, is there anything else because that kind of differentiates you from others while we have you?
Yeah, for me, it's all about education. So I usually do a complimentary 1 hour, meeting, Zoom call with the client. And I meet with every client. If they're freshmen or sophomores, I meet with them at least once a month, starting, whenever they join. Juniors and seniors, anywhere from every 2 weeks to weekly. They have access to my cell phone, my email, and phone almost 24/7, and some take advantage of that.
Why not?
I think it's having the access to me, having everything based on facts or personal experience that helps. And sometimes I have to be the one that has to kind of unfortunately talk them down in terms of you're not a D1 player based on the feedback coaches have given me, or making those connections to my extensive network of coaching colleagues that, hey, here's a player that maybe you haven't seen yet, or you might want to take a look at. And then everybody has their own personalized roadmap, I call it. And I published that in my book that I just recently put on Amazon, 44 years of some hard lessons, a lot of education and teaching have been put into that book to at least help people have some confidence that, yeah, I'm on the right track. And the earlier they start, the better, because the more control you have of the process. Because as you know, if you're a junior, if you're not on the radar of a D1 school, it's probably not going to happen. Because most of the time they're finishing their graduation class for the following year during your junior year. So I like starting with 7th, 8th, 9th graders because of that reason, is to slowly ease into the process, make sure they have a kick-ass profile. They start getting some clarity on what kind of school am I looking for and those kind of things. And every client is important to me. As I told you with that one young lady, I see too many companies that are big that you're simply a number, you're a quota. They could care less where you end up, and it could be the worst fit for you. And then you become one of those 36% that ends up transferring or considers transferring because it's not the good fit.
Yeah, and I guess it proves if someone invites you to their wedding, so you definitely did something right there.
Well, you want to share in their important moments in life.
Yes.
And in my opinion, except for maybe buying a house, it's still probably the second most important decision you make in terms of the cost and what it can do for your future. I've seen some stats where the average high school dropout makes about $18,000, and you can't live on that. So this guy's probably living at home or has 4 roommates. If you graduate from high school, you make about $25,000. You go to college, you make about 45 to 50. If you go to a tier 1 or a higher academic school, you're going to make 75 to 100,000 coming out of college. And so there is a lot of proof that, college education is still worthwhile. Even though kids these days are so much more fortunate, they can be entrepreneurs and, like yourself, build a business, build a passion project. And that wasn't available when, I was younger. So it's really important that they make good choices along the way.
Oh, yes. Those choices do follow throughout your entire life. So it certainly helps. Awesome. Yes. So this was about, I guess, your college business. And you and I also have been working a lot with the Champions League soccer.
Yes.
That it's also now have kicked off in St. Louis and now going, I think, the semifinals are starting the 16th, which is exciting. So could you tell us a little bit more about, how you got into with the Champions League and some of the things that your business will be helping out those young men and ladies that participate?
Yes, I think originally the founders were Perry Vanderbeek and Jim Hart from the Florida Champions League. And there were a bunch of grizzled old veterans like me that have been around the block, have seen it all. And so I was excited to be involved with a group like that thinks like me, that is going to give players an opportunity that maybe only play high school. They can't afford the pay-to-play model of club soccer in this country. And there's some talented players that we're missing, whether it's minorities, whether it's people who just socioeconomically are challenged to come up with the huge fees that some of the alphabet soup leagues charge. So I was excited to get involved with the Champions League here in Tampa. I'm excited about South Florida playing the Super Cup against North Central Florida at the Tampa Bay Rowdies Stadium. The following year, most likely at Inter Miami's field. So, and then I see the growth and the opportunities in St. Louis and other parts of the country. So I've pledged to donate 5 complimentary mentorships and college planning memberships to each market, that similar to what Select does in terms of the equipment and soccer balls. So the leagues can give that out. They can raise funds with it. They can designate, hey, I've got these 5 players that just can't afford anything, and I'll work with them one-on-one to get them into college. So that's exciting for me.
Yes, and I also wanted to highlight this because there's so many people that are doing great things outside of guess what, we're all here online. So it certainly helps when we have the Jim Harts and Vanderbeek doing those great things, and then bringing experts like yourself in the fold to help. So it's I think that's how we get connected as well. So it looks like it happens on the field, but also off the pitch.
It's phenomenal when you have like-minded people that are willing to do things for the good of the game, for the good of the young men and young women that love this game. Yes, and it's in our blood. And to see the passion in one of my first clients and some of my graduate school players at Marshall University, where I had my first coaching job, we're from St. Louis, the Fisher brothers. And so I've always had a great connection with St. Louis, and one of my best ODP colleagues was from San Luis, and yeah, we discussed everything from beer to baseball, Cardinals, and so forth. And so I like the mentality that you guys have in San Luis, and the different areas like Abby trying to do, I think, in Illinois or Indiana, with her efforts. So it's just great to see people that, are giving of their time, their resources, whatever they can offer to grow this game and bring it back to its roots, which was to have fun, to give kids exposure at whatever level you are.
Yes, so apparently St. Louis people are everywhere because since I'm not from St. Louis, so I guess I moved to St. Louis 15 years ago. So It's quite interesting to know that pretty much everyone I talk to that has soccer ties anywhere in the U.S., they say, oh, I know someone from St. Louis just because of soccer. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I actually read a book before I ever got to meet the gentleman. It's Terry Mickler's book.
Yes.
He was incorporating the Dutch, principles of playing, and was really into the whole formations and the different concepts of what formation is best. And I read Terry's book and read his bio in terms of his success at the high school level and his incorporation of the total football Dutch style, and it was just fascinating. And then a couple of years later, it's like I met a rock star, Terry Mickler right there.
Yes, he's the blueprint and like the OG in St. Louis when it comes to high school.
Yes.
Pretty much he's it. And I guess I'm lucky enough that it takes me 5 minutes drive to get to CBC. So going to those games is quite interesting. And like you said, he's the rock star when everyone goes. And I think it's the coach then the players, which is kind of weird and funny because usually it's come to see the players but it's like, did you play with Coach Mittler? It's like, yes. And you're kind of pushed up a little bit higher.
Well, I think I think that goes back to your legacy and being consistently good at a high level. That's so hard to find, whether it's Anson Dorrance or there's Gino Ariema, with UConn women's basketball. It's just people that consistently make it to the Final Four or win national championships is amazing. And then to have maybe players move on from Terry that carry his legacy and his teachings forward, like the John Wooden, and there's so many trees that branch out in football and other sports where, one person just influenced all these other people that are now very successful based on certain principles. And I love that.
And he's even a better person too.
Yes.
So that's always nice. Yes. Awesome. So yes, I think now it was kind of the business serious question. So now I have 5 questions for you, just soccer in general.
Okay.
So the first one, when playing soccer, who did you look up to or did you want it to be like when watching them? U.S. or overseas, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's going to be a German.
Okay.
I mean, I liked Franz Beckenbauer, as a center back, libero, but Gerd Mueller was my idol. And I actually I didn't meet him. I saw his calves walking away when he played for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. He was maybe 50 yards ahead of me, but the guy had calves as big as my arms, and he was just a goal scorer. Anything inside the box, he could turn you and he could score, and that's what position I played. And I was never going to run by people. I just wasn't fast, but as far as little intricate movements or having a nose for the goal, that Gerd Mueller was my guy, and I think he recently passed, if I'm not mistaken. So that was my idol, and then the Johan Cruyffs of the world came along, and the Zidans, and so obviously the Messis and the Ronaldos. So, but no, Gerd Mueller was my first love.
Okay, awesome. So I think now knowing that you're born in Germany, but I'm American. So when there's a World Cup scenario and you have Germany versus the U.S., where do you position yourself?
Well, you can never walk away from your native country, but I always want the U.S. to do well because I know how this country embraces this sport and that we need to have success. We're used to winning at every other sport and at all levels. And so I would like for us, and hopefully Pochettino can get us back, and Emma Hayes has proved, on the women's side that it's possible to, again, dominate with the resources and the amount of players the U.S. has access to. I think anytime the U.S. makes it out of a group, makes it to a quarter semis. It should almost be expected, or we need to lay the groundwork where that happens every single time. But yeah, I live here now. This is my home, but I have a soft spot for my country back in Germany. But I'd be cheering on the U.S. For sure to be successful, especially with all the things we're hosting coming up between the World Cup and the Gold Cup, I think, right?
Yes, pretty much the Gold Cup, the Club World Cups. And so I think if the U.S. does not do well just as promoting the sport and like kind of increase the amount of players and people that go, I guess, maybe a little bit beyond club, it will be a major failure because you cannot have all of these tournaments in your country and continent. It's not replicate the 94 progress that happens. So I think the federation has a lot of work to do to, cash out on that.
Yeah. Well, I think they do a great job, Musa, in terms of organizing, making things, events and spectacles. Yes. But I can't remember, was it Colombia against somebody at the Hard Rock where the fiasco happened where people got in without tickets? And
yes, but that was damaged. I think that was...
Yeah, it's just, we need to make sure we understand the scale of what we're hosting, and not only playing wise, but also organization wise and experience wise, make sure that we have, I thought the Paris Olympics were phenomenal. Each World Cup is hosted. It's just phenomenal. And it's such a, great way to grow the sport. I love how the women are now more on TV. And hopefully all that will continue. There's more people choosing soccer now over other sports, which I love.
Yes, that's the funny part. I think every time I see women now soccer on TV, my daughter used to always tell us that she was sick of watching boys play soccer on TV. So now that she's watching it, we're just sit back and like, this is all that she's asked for. It's like, I think 4 channels and you see women's soccer and it's like, there you have it. So
yeah, maybe we need Taylor Swift to come to a couple soccer games, see what she's done for football. So, but just some of these former national team players now being owners and some of these celebrities and some of these business folks investing in women's soccer and the facilities they're building, it's just, I think KC has a phenomenal setup.
Yes, it is.
So it's just good to see that they're finally, the pay scale is still a work in progress, but I like the way the women are heading in the right direction, and the men need to establish themselves, internationally now, not just North and South America, but globally. That we have some great players that play in great leagues.
Yeah. Now looking at the list, you see them all in, the top 5, 6, 7 of those European leagues. So almost less excuses these days.
Yes.
So speaking of those current players, is there one that's kind of, maybe that you look up, you see like this is a great player or reminds you of someone from this current team?
Well, I like what Christian's doing. He's playing phenomenal with Milan and scoring goals left and right. And I don't know if he ever got a real shot at Chelsea, but
he did.
Claudio Reyna, I think there's more to get from him, and Weston McKennie, and so we're sending, players all over the world, from the U.S. And we're also getting players from around the world wanted to go to college here, which is basically our farm system per se for soccer. So I think they respect the coaches that we have and the opportunities that we can provide. But now Christian is definitely, the flag bearer for this national team. I love what Messi's done for South Florida, Miami. Bringing his Barcelona's buddy with him, and it's a fun game to watch. When you just insert a player here or there that has done it all, and the joy and the passion and the following that these guys bring with them is amazing.
Yeah, the Miami Academy, I think they're probably the most spoiled kids in U.S. soccer at this moment because not many people can just go in the training ground and watch them from there. So. Yes. Yeah,
or Messi shows up on the sideline of its kids, MLS next game or whatever.
Oh, we've seen that. I think I saw it, and it was like not the kids were actually staying away. It was the parents rushing, which is interesting.
Yeah, did you see the clip when I think he went to Publix when he first got to Miami,
Yes.
and he was talking to people just like a regular guy, and you know,
I think that's
so
probably why he moved here, because there's no one else in the world where he can actually do this type of things with
yeah,
maybe having a handful of people ask for signature and pictures.
yep.
Yeah, going, yeah, Paris was nuts. But so I think just to finish it, so knowing that we have all these nice tournaments here, um, which I guess that might be the World Cup, but which tournament do you look up the most to maybe attend yourself within the next few tournaments?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been at a World Cup. I've never been to a Gold Cup. So I'm gonna try to check those off my bucket list. But if it's in a nice big venue with two national teams that maybe either don't like each other or are powerhouses, then I got to bite the bullet and get a ticket and just experience it. I think I attended the quarterfinal between Italy and someone else, and there was 75% Italians in the stands, and they're having a great time. So, and whether it's college cup, Final Four, or whether it's an international tournament or a World Cup, I'll watch soccer at almost every level, and enjoy it for what it is. Whether it's a U8s, just learn how to play the game, or showing some signs of patterns and stuff. That's just as satisfying as watching a big time professional game.
Excellent, excellent. So Siggi, I definitely appreciate your time. I think it was long overdue for us to catch up. So could you tell us a little bit on how we can just go to your services, college planning, any of your social that we can share with?
Yeah, you can either go to Nagele College Planning, and that's spelled Nagele, collegeplanning.com. That's my website, Nagele College Planning. It's got information about the book, my services. You can call me at 727-424-4071 if you want to text me, have questions. Again, I'm very much into sharing information, and if I can help somebody, and I look forward to these different Champions League markets, giving out these free mentorships and memberships that I'm going to provide, because there's nothing more satisfying, Musa, than seeing somebody that didn't think they could afford to go to college, or didn't even think about going to college, and then all of a sudden, it becomes a reality, and it changes the course of his life and maybe his family's life. And similar to the girl I mentioned, it changed her life. It changed her path. So I'll do that 24/7.
Yes, and it's just giving that one opportunity. Sometimes it just takes that little spark to help someone.
Yeah,
So,
just somebody say, "Hey, I believe in you. You can do this." A lot of times I end up taking people maybe down a notch in terms of the division that they should be considering. But there's also sometimes times where they underestimate, how good they are. And you say, "Hey, look at this school, look at that school. I think you're good enough to play there." And that's just not to blow smoke. It's because you've seen them play, you've seen their video, you've talked to their coaches, and you know who they are as a person. And yes, they can handle that level. And I think my colleagues in the college ranks, they appreciate that. I don't sell them players. I don't market players to them that I don't think can play at their university. So they respect that. I respect the level of their program as well.
yep, respect goes a long way.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Excellent. So so pretty much, and so what I'll do also, I will share all the information
Okay.
about your services, the
Yeah.
connections that we have with Champions League, and we'll definitely connect back. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more throughout the months and years to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed you when you were in Florida. That hopefully there'll be another opportunity to maybe have a beverage together and talk soccer in person.
I will be. Florida is almost our second home when it comes to vacation.
Yes.
But I believe I'm trying to be there on December also for that I-95
75.
or 75.
Or 75.
Which, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm still working with and see which of those dates, but
Okay.
I will be there a lot more.
Okay. Well, if you need a place to stay, you're welcome in my home. We'll definitely have to break bread somewhere. And if you have a favorite cuisine, I'm sure Tampa, Florida has it. So we'll take you there.
I'm not complaining when I'm there.
There you go. There you go.
Excellent. So yes, so definitely
Awesome.
appreciate your time, and
Likewise.
thank you all for joining. And also make sure to look out because there will be a lot more interviews coming up. And I think also we have a few more players from the MLS in the next few episodes. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Musa, thank you for all you do for this great sport, not just in St. Louis, but throughout the world, and your passion and your opportunity to give folks like myself and players to share their journey and their experience. Because again, maybe we can inspire the next generation.
No problem. I'm giving back to all the people that have helped me. And
exactly.
What I always tell others is that even though we all played soccer, we were wanting to be pros, I guess.
Right.
But it leads us to multiple paths when it comes to it. So my soccer career ended early, but with just those connections, I was able to, I think I have a pretty good life, even though,
yes,
so I'm not complaining, always smiling. I get to talk to fun soccer people all day long. So
yes,
why not?
Now, the beautiful game will always take good care of us. It'll always give us highs and lows, but at the end of the day, it's still something that's in our blood.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for joining.
And, yes, sir.
We'll go from there.
Yep. I look forward to, I think we have a call on Sunday.
Yes.
Champions League call, I believe.
Yes. And I think I will be at City Park watching CD2, their final game. So we'll be doing a live
update, huh?
Yes, from there.
Awesome. You're the man, Musa. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right.